So we definitely need to start talking about the Eightfold Noble Path from the first factor, and that's the right view. Without the right view, there is no Eightfold Noble Path. With the right view, there is the full Eightfold Noble Path. So the right view is the ultimate condition for the Eightfold Noble Path. So for us, the right view is the most important part of the Eightfold Noble Path, and all of the other 7 factors are not so important because they actually are fueled by the first factor. So we always take care of the first factor, and therefore we take care of the remaining 7 factors. We, of course, dedicate ourselves to all of the 8 factors, but again, without the first factor, the remaining 7 factors will not be there, and with the first factor, the remaining 7 factors will be there. So when we discuss the first factor of the Eightfold Noble Path, namely the right view, samma ditte, we are actually talking about 2 big things, and they are the mundane or worldly right view, and then we have the supramundane right view. The Buddha considered the first one as the one with taints, because that right view can be held pretty well even by those who still have defilements, who are not enlightened. The second right view, the supramundane, can be fully understood and fully developed only through the Eightfold Noble Path, and when it is achieved, it is beyond the world. So that's why it is supramundane. The mundane right view, the worldly right view, or the right view with taints, which is defiled because it can be held and followed with mental defilements, is the right view where we accept the consequences of good deeds. We accept that giving, donation, is meritorious. We accept that taking care of others, hospitality, those are good deeds. We accept that there is mother and father as distinguished persons in our life who provided us with care, and therefore they deserve extraordinary gratitude and love and patience. Then we believe, or we accept, that there is past life, that there is future life, that there is this present life. So we distinguish the present life from the future life. We realize, okay, so this life ends by death, but we continue onwards by another life. So there is no annihilation by the time of death. Instead, there is rebirth. So the belief, accepting of the rebirth teachings is very important for us. We accept that there are spontaneously born beings, which are gods and ghosts, beings in hells, who appear spontaneously, which means they appear in their world right immediately as adults, with complete clothes, with complete knowledge and understanding, and they do not go through any kind of growing process or birth process. So these are spontaneously born beings. Why is it important for us to believe in them? Well, if we believe in hell and in heaven, then that will compel us to follow rules, to be careful, not to kill or steal or commit adultery, to tell lies, to drink alcohol. Many of you probably do not kill, do not steal, do not commit adultery, do not tell lies, and do not drink alcohol. Well, of course, because you didn't have a good reason for that. Now, suppose that you would have a good reason for that. Suppose somebody would like to kill you, or somebody would like to kill your family. Then you would have a good reason. And then talking about not killing, not stealing, and so on would make sense. So we are talking here about following the 5 precepts regardless what is the situation. We are not concerned with following 5 precepts at the time when there is no reason to break them. We are interested in the times when it is difficult to follow them. So only when you come to a situation where you must tell a lie and you don't tell a lie, then you can say you really dutifully follow the 5 precepts. Only when you come to the situation when you must drink alcohol, at least a drop. If you don't drink even a drop of that alcohol, then you can say that you are someone who tries to follow the 5 precepts. There is no reason to talk about following 5 precepts if you drink alcohol or tell lies whenever there's an opportunity. So we never break the 5 precepts, even at the cost of our lives. There is no exception. So this is possible only when you believe in hell and heaven. If you don't believe in hell and heaven, then there is no reason to not tell a lie, not drink alcohol, not kill or steal or commit adultery when you get an opportunity. Well, if nobody sees you and if nobody cares, well, except the one who's killed or the one who's robbed, then what's the problem? Many times when you rob or steal, the people don't even know that you stole it, right? So wouldn't that be okay to steal that time? So again, that's why the belief in hell and heaven is of essential importance in order that the society works. When the belief in hell and heaven is not there, well, then there is nothing to stop you to kill, steal, commit adultery, tell lies, drink alcohol. Well, because as soon as you have an opportunity, you have your reason. And through that reason, you do it because you think that the reason is the key to kill. Well, I have a reason. Well, but reason is not a permission. So we never break those 5 precepts. Even if I would have to die on the spot, I would never drink even a drop of an alcohol. Anyone can test me. But it should not be about Ashin Sarana. It should be about everyone in here. This should not be anything special at all. There is absolutely nothing special about following the 5 precepts, except there is. There should not be. You know, the 5 precepts are the ultimate condition for you to be born as humans. You all are born as humans because you followed 5 precepts in the past. Now, if you don't follow 5 precepts now, then, well, goodbye. You will need to wait quite a long time before you become humans again after you die. The Buddha explained that it's extremely rare to become a human. Well, it's extremely rare to follow 5 precepts. Now you have your opportunity to follow 5 precepts. If you don't follow 5 precepts, well, then indeed your human life will be particularly rare. Now you can decrease the rarity of your human life if you follow your 5 precepts. It depends only on you. I cannot follow 5 precepts for you. You can follow them for me, though. You also cannot follow your 5 precepts for me, but you can follow them for yourself. Now imagine a society where nobody kills, nobody steals, nobody commits adultery, nobody tells lies, nobody drinks alcohol. You cannot imagine that society. I also cannot imagine that society. And we would not recognize what's the difference between human life and the heavenly life. We'd think that it's the same thing. People don't follow 5 precepts, well, then they suffer. And if we ourselves don't follow them, well, we will suffer as well. So belief in hell and heaven is of extremely important importance. Then we get the belief, the right view, that the Buddha achieved the ultimate enlightenment. And I think that is the key. Why these worldly, these mundane 10 kinds of right view are so important for the Eightfold Noble Path. If you do not believe that enlightenment exists and that it is good, if you do not believe that there is this problem with hell and heaven, because, well, you can maybe avoid hell for next life, and for the life after the next, and for the life after the next, but who will make sure, who will guarantee for you that you will not be born in hell after your 3 lives, or after your 10 lives, or after your 100 lives? Something may get wrong. You may have a wonderful opportunity to tell a lie, wonderful opportunity to drink, because someone would kill you if you don't do that. Well, then you do it. Well, then sorry, you broke your 5 precepts. And there you go. You're back in hell. And that's normal. There's nothing special about being born in hell. It's special that you're born as human. And that's why it is so special to follow the 5 precepts. And that's why there's this problem with this hell and heaven. Because if it is true that you go to hell if you do something bad, if you make a mistake, so to speak, well, then existence itself is pretty dangerous. Because who doesn't make a mistake? Well, all of us make mistakes. So that's the problem. I may make sure that I will never break 5 rules this life, but who will make sure for me that I will not break my 5 rules my next life, and the life after the next, and the 3rd, and the 4th, and the 10th, and the 100th, and the 1000th, and the 100,000th life? I may follow 5 precepts for 100,000 lives. Well, but the life number 100,001 will become a problem again, and we're back in hell. The most time we spend in the hell world. That's why we say that being in hell is nothing special. That's the place, that's our home. Now, in Sri Lanka, they like to say that being in the human life, and especially in the heaven life, is like being in a nice hotel. Yeah, we're enjoying our nice time. And then back home. So we follow the precepts very strictly, 100% strictly, regardless whatever are our excuses, or regardless what other people threaten us with. We don't care. Will I die if I don't kill? Well, then I die. I don't care. Will I die if I don't steal? Well, then I die. I don't care. Will I die if I don't commit adultery? Then probably I will not die anyway. Will I die if I don't tell a lie? Maybe yes. Okay, I don't care. I will tell the truth. Will I die if I don't drink alcohol? Okay, so I don't care, but I will not drink alcohol. There's no way out. 100,000 of your friends will come to you and will say, you will drink this alcohol, or I will not be your friend. You lose your 100,000 friends, and you have done the good thing. Who of you has 100,000 friends? Probably none of you. So if you have 1 or 3 friends who force you to drink alcohol, really it doesn't matter if you lose them for not following their evil advice. We never drink alcohol. And if someone doesn't want to be friend with you just because you don't want to engage in evil, well, then probably they are not a good friend. So this is the mundane. This is the mundane right view. That's the basis for the supramundane right view. Without the mundane right view, there's no way how you can have the supramundane right view. So first we need to master our mundane right view, and then when that is mastered, we can move on to the supramundane. Supramundane right view is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Well, that's quite complicated. Four Noble Truths is a topic on which there are whole books written. But in brief, the Four Noble Truths speak about suffering in the world and the good news that there is a way out of it. Buddhism is very realistic. It is neither pessimistic nor optimistic. It is very realistic. You do this, that will happen. You don't do this, that will not happen. So, what's going on? There is suffering in the world. There is birth, old age, sickness, and death. There is getting what we want. There is not getting what we. There is not getting what we want. There is getting what we don't want. Being bound to that what we don't want. Not having our wishes fulfilled, and enjoying the suffering of the body, feelings, perceptions, intentions, and consciousness, so-called 5 aggregates of suffering. So this is the first noble truth. It is extremely hard to understand that. Well, because now I feel good. So what's the suffering about that, right? So that's the point. It's hard to understand. That's why it's called supramundane. It is beyond this world. The condition for suffering is craving. Until there is craving for this which we think is not suffering, there will be suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death, as well as birth in hell, birth in animal realm, and birth in the realm of ghosts. Then the third noble truth says that if we can eradicate this craving, well, then we can get free from the suffering. So we work on eradicating this craving, and the instruction to do that is the Eightfold Noble Path. So these are the 4 noble truths, and that's the right view. So for us, right view is the door. That is the door to a better life, better world, and most importantly, freedom from greed, hatred, ignorance, and freedom from all suffering. So for us, right view is very important. If someone doesn't believe in rebirth, they still may avoid killing, stealing, adultery, telling lies, drinking alcohol, and taking drugs. But again, I don't care that they avoid it, because now they do not have the opportunity to break them. Only when they have the opportunity to kill, only when they are going to be killed, only when their family is killed, only when everyone around them is in danger and they don't kill, then I say they truly follow the 5 precepts or the first precept. In fact, if no one in this world followed just the first precept, this world would not be distinguishable from heaven. We're talking about 5 precepts. So we must follow all of the 5 precepts. All right. So the second factor of the Eightfold Noble Path is the so-called right thought. Right thought is very important. And again, the proper right thought can be achieved only through proper practice. So these first 2 factors of the Eightfold Noble Path, although they're the key to achieve success, to achieve happiness, to achieve freedom, these 2 factors are fully developed through enlightenment. They are ultimately developed through the 4th, through the highest level of enlightenment. The second factor of the Eightfold Noble Path is the right thought. Right thought is threefold. First, it is the thought of renunciation. So we renounce. We understand indeed this body is impermanent, unsatisfactory, not self. The mind is impermanent, unsatisfactory, not self. And we do not get attached to them. As you can see, this is pretty hard. So there needs to be quite a lot of training behind this skill. The second and the third, which seem to be synonymous, but they are not, that is nonviolence and non-harming. So they are the words for loving kindness and compassion. Without loving kindness, without compassion, there is no way how you can, without loving kindness and without compassion, achieve progress, achieve development of your mind, development on the path. The Eightfold Noble Path becomes properly followed only when you dedicate yourself to loving kindness and compassion. So that's why we necessarily need to meditate on loving kindness. If you do not meditate on loving kindness, if you do not engage in loving kindness by your mind, speech, and body, if you do not engage in compassion by your mind, speech, and body, well, then you do not follow the Eightfold Noble Path, and therefore there is no way out of rebirth, out of the cycle of rebirth. So we dedicate ourselves to loving kindness and to compassion. When we meditated today together, we meditated on loving kindness. Loving kindness is very hard and very difficult to develop thoroughly and truthfully. So that's why it is very powerful if you can achieve an intensive meditation retreat on loving kindness, so that you are sure that your loving kindness is thorough. If your loving kindness is not thorough, well, then your Eightfold Noble Path is not thorough. And when your Eightfold Noble Path is not thorough, then you're unnecessarily hindering yourself on the in the progress towards enlightenment, towards the freedom from rebirth. Compassion is a practice that's a little bit harder than loving kindness, and therefore it is suggested that you first master loving kindness and then start to practice compassion. Well, compassion is very hard, because when we see that someone who we love or someone who we appreciate is suffering, it breaks our heart. It makes us very sad. Loving kindness is rather balanced. We wish that all living beings, regardless who that is, that they're happy. In compassion, we specifically direct our mind to people and to beings who are not as well off as we are. And when we do that, we are filled with suffering, because we feel, oh, this person is suffering, that one is also suffering, oh, that one is also suffering. And we fill our mind with suffering. We're thinking only about the suffering. You're just observing how beings suffer. Well, that's pretty difficult. It's sometimes very hard to see our relative when they are injured or when they lose their home. Then imagine that you're thinking about millions of people who are injured, who are raped, who are abused, who are blamed, unjustly accused, who are harmed, who are in danger, who are poor, who are disabled, who are mocked, who are insulted, and so on and on. So suppose that you take all of these people into your mind and you just think about them. That's pretty hard, isn't it? So that's why loving kindness must precede, mastery of loving kindness must precede the practice on compassion. Then when you practice compassion, you look at those beings from the point of view of someone who is happy, who is better off. And you allow them, you wish them that they are at least as well off as you are. And whenever your mind loses it and you get into the suffering and pity and so on, well, then you can return to your loving kindness practice, regain your happiness, and return to your compassion practice. If you have not mastered loving kindness, well, then compassion is the true, thorough, genuine compassion will not be possible for you. So this is the right view and the right thought. So in summary, right view is mundane and supramundane. Mundane right view is the belief in the efficacy, in the good consequences of generosity, of helping each other, of respecting our parents, of the belief in previous life, next life, the belief in birth, in heaven, hell, animal realm, ghost realm, and the belief that the Buddha achieved the full enlightenment. Supramundane right view is the clear understanding, first, of course, just knowledge, but gradually deeper and deeper understanding of the Four Noble Truths. That is the suffering, the cause of suffering, which is craving, the cessation of suffering, which is removing of craving, and then the path out of suffering, which is the Eightfold Noble Path that we are discussing today. So this is the right view. Right thought then is threefold. That is the thought of renunciation, when we renounce our attachment to the body, to the mind, to the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, and to their respective object, namely the visible object, audible object, olfactory object, the taste object, then the tactile object, and the mental object. And finally, we have the two attitudes toward other living beings, that's loving kindness and compassion, which need to be mastered ideally in meditation. So that is, in brief, on right view and right thought. So I wish you, everyone, that you find the practice of developing right view and right thought easy, comfortable. You have the full support, and through this proper practice, you can easily develop the remaining 6 factors of the Eightfold Noble Path, and either in this life or latest in your next life, achieve the ultimate bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, 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 sadhu.